Hey everyone, welcome to Theme Park Center. This is episode 7, and today we're going to be talking about all things HHN because this past weekend was opening weekend for HHN, and I got to go a few times, and Trisha joined me for one of those. So speaking of which, today I am joined by Trisha Kennedy.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing great, and for the record, my name's Jonathan Holt. I totally forgot to say that off the bat, but we're just going to dive into this because it's spooky season. It's my favorite time of year. Halloween Horror Nights 29 is in full swing, and we both got to see it. So this was your first year ever going to Halloween Horror Nights.
Yes.
Which for me is super exciting.
Yeah, I felt like every year I tried to avoid it because I thought I was going to be terrified. But this year you talked me into it.
And your life has changed, right?
I loved it.
Awesome.
It was amazing.
I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. Halloween Horror Nights has literally been like one of my favorite things. Ever since I started working at at Universal, I fell in love with Halloween Horror Nights. And like I've said a few times in the podcast and in the vlogs and stuff, I loved it so much that I even scare acted a few years. It's just HHN's in my blood. And I'm glad that you've really enjoyed it. So right off the top, I'll say, so I got to do the team member preview. So I got to do all the houses and shows and everything at least once. But the one time that we went opening night. And opening night is always super crazy because every HHN fan is like, it's opening night, let's go. So it was packed when we went.
It was,
yeah. So we only got to do about half of the things. But we still got to do, the good, like the best of the best half.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to talk about that. And I know it's early. Normally I don't like to give, final thoughts on things until I've gone through everything at least, 3 or 4 times. But out of the 5 houses that we did, which one do you think is your favorite so far?
I like the Ghostbusters one the best.
Yes. That one's so good.
Yeah.
But so before we dive into that and like really talk about those houses, what were the ones that we ended up doing? So obviously Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we did Ghostbusters, Stranger Things,
Yep.
Monsters, Killer Clowns.
And Graveyard Games.
Yes, Graveyard Games, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then we also saw Academy of Villains.
Yes, which was really good.
Really good.
That actually surprised me. Like, that show was amazing. That guy that could do the weird things with his arms, and it was like, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah. If you're listening to this, so if you're watching it on YouTube, of course, I'm throwing up the video so you guys can see everything that we're talking about. But you should really check out the vlog that I did from the team member preview. It's like the first look at HHN video. I filmed some like snippets of the Academy Villains show. And this year, oh my gosh, I was actually really surprised. It's really good this year.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people last year were kind of, I don't know if letdown's the right word or disappointed. I don't know. Last year's show was still really good, but considering that last year was, they replaced Bill and Ted, there was such a high standard for Academy of Villains going into that show that I feel like a lot of people were disappointed just because of the shoes that they had to fill. But this year, it seemed like they really came back with a vengeance. This year, actually, they take a lot of the highlights of the last, 3 years? Yeah, 3 years that they were here. I think this is their 4th year. Yeah. This is their 4th year. Sorry, I'm trying to do math in my head. But so it kind of seemed like they took the best of the best from each one of their shows and kind of combined it into one big show this year. But in that, it was still unique and it was still fresh. So I thought this year was really good. It actually exceeded my expectations. I was kind of hesitant, and I don't know, like I didn't have very high hopes this year for their show, just because I was let down a little bit last year. But wow, they put on a show this year.
I was impressed.
Yeah. What was your favorite part of the show?
Oh man, I don't know. They had the guy doing the weird things with his arms. Like that's
Yeah, the
still
contortionist dude.
Like I'm just like, how are you even human?
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like for real.
Yeah, I'm sure they have like medics back there just in case.
I know.
Could you imagine like that dude pulling a muscle halfway through the show?
I know.
Jeez.
I know.
Yeah. I like after watching that act, I was like, I need to see a chiropractor.
Yeah, I know. Same.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite part. So, my favorite year that they've performed was the very first year that they were at HHN, and I think they actually stole that year. Like they were the highlight of that year. But they did like the shadow art thing. You know, like they did a show where they put up some scrim and they did like shadow figures and puppets and stuff, and it was really good. And they kind of brought that back this year, and that's probably my favorite section from the show this year.
That was super cool. I love the way they did that. That was
the first year.
Amazing.
You can watch videos of it on YouTube. Like there's, people filmed and there's actually pretty decent quality versions of the videos on YouTube. But the first year they did one that was themed, or like the soundtrack was "Bring Me to Life."
Yes.
Yeah, and that was really good. And then this year it's set to Enter Sandman, which actually fits into like the storyline of the show. It's really cool. Like, so they have a through line story for the show, but they don't use like their voices. There's no dialogue or speaking roles. Everything is like mimed or danced or whatever. Like there's a lot of dancing, but they tell the story of the show through the music, and it's really cool how they do that. But yeah, I actually really liked this year.
Yeah.
I was talking to a few other media people during team member preview night, and leaving the show, I felt like every time you go to HHN this year, Academy of Villains is a must-see act.
Yeah.
And I did not feel that way about them last year. I felt like, okay, you see them once and you're good.
Yeah,
like,
gotcha.
It's like, it's worth seeing once, but there's better things to do.
Yeah.
But Bill and Ted, every year that Bill and Ted was there, I was like, you have to see Bill and Ted every single year. Like that show was just, it was so good, and there was so much heart and charm to it. It just like, it was one of those, you have to do it every time you come to the park. Last year, Academy of Villains wasn't that. But this year, I think they're so good this year that they are one of those, you have to see them every time you go to HHN. They're that good.
Yeah, I think my only complaint was those bright lights that they would shine into
Oh my
the
gosh.
audience.
Yeah, they got to do something about that.
Those were horrible. So if you're going, be warned. There's
Wear
going to be
sunglasses.
bright lights that are going to blind you.
Yeah, before the show starts, they have like some pre-show music going, and every now and then, just randomly, like not even when you expect it, it's like, like when you least expect it, they have these bright lights that are aimed directly at your eyes that they just blind you and go off. It was obnoxious.
Yeah, we kept trying to prepare for it. We're like, okay, it's about to happen, and then it wouldn't, and then would look back up, and then randomly they just
and as soon
right
as we
in
look
your eyes.
back up, it's like bam.
Yeah.
Dang it!
Yeah.
Come on. But other than that, the show was really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, so that we actually, I think we caught the 11:30 show or something like that.
I think it was 10:30.
10:30.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it was like halfway through the night. But so we did get to see all the scare zones, and of course we'll talk about like pretty much everything specifically. But out of the 5 scare zones, so there's Anarcade, there's Zombieland, there's Rob Zombie's Hellbilly Deluxe, there's a roaming chainsaw horde, and then there's Vikings Undead and Vanity Ball. So I think that's 6 total. But there's only 5 themes because the chainsaw horde is always there. Out of those, which one was your favorite scare zone?
Probably my favorite would be the Vikings one.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I don't know. I'm excited to see the scare zones more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because we didn't really spend too much time in those.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at the beginning of the run, everyone's just kind of like, let's get to the houses, because
Yeah.
that's the main event.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm excited to check them out a little bit more
Yeah.
as well.
It's also fun to see people's reactions. I don't
Yeah.
know. I love people watching. I've noticed that's
Yeah.
really fun at Halloween Horror Nights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do towards the end of the run, where it's like you've done the houses a handful of times.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot left to do.
Mm-hmm.
So just sitting down and people
Yeah.
watching, that's one of the best.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I really like Vikings too. I think this year specifically, it'll be interesting to see the scare zones evolve a little bit with the event. Normally, and I noticed this most years, the scare zones kind of take a little bit of time to really like come into their own. I don't know why, but almost every year I feel like I'm pretty underwhelmed with the scare zones. And then by the end of the run, I'm like, oh man, I'm really digging this one.
Yeah.
Or I'm really digging that one. And I'm excited for that to happen this year because almost all of them I was just kind of lukewarm on. I think Hellbilly Deluxe is really good, but I had a bad taste in my mouth from that one just from the preview night because I'm already not a huge Rob Zombie fan. And then the preview night, which you can see it in the vlog, I walked through there a few times, and there were literally no scare actors in there. I think that's because, and I have a friend that's in that scare zone, so I'll talk to him and see what the actual reasoning is. But I'm pretty sure that they were just, fixing effects and stuff, so they didn't have scare actors out while they were working on stuff. That's probably what it was, because it was the preview night, so they're still affecting, or like they're still fixing effects, and it's basically the dress rehearsal. So I'm trying to not hold any judgment from that night alone. But yeah, I think that one has the most potential in my opinion. That one, like it has the ambience, it has like the music. The music's really cool. There's a lot of scare actors, and it looks like the scare actors really enjoy their roles, which is really important for the scare zone to be good.
Yeah.
Like the scare actors really have to be into it. But yeah, I think that one, by the end of the run, I think that one might be the standout. But I also really liked Vikings. It doesn't matter what you put in that scare zone, like the Central Park scare zone. Central Park always has the best HHN atmosphere. So it doesn't matter what you put in there, that scare zone's always going to be great. So that's a fun one.
Yeah. I also just love how the park feels totally different. Like, because we got there during the day, it was still light out. And then it's like all of a sudden it gets dark and you're just like, whoa, you don't even feel like you're in the same place.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool.
Yeah, it does not feel like Universal Studios.
No, it doesn't.
It feels like its own park.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite things, too.
Yeah.
Because, like, going to Universal all the time, and it's the same with every theme park. If you've been to one theme park hundreds, if not thousands of times, eventually it's going to get a little old.
Yeah.
But having an event like HHN where every year they transform the park into like basically a whole new theme park, it's so fun and so refreshing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about, again, the 5 houses that we did. When we started the night, we actually hit up Universal Monsters
Yeah,
first,
Monsters
right?
was first, yep.
Yeah, and then after that we did Graveyard Games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're right next to each other. They're in Kids Zone this year. I actually really like Universal Monsters.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. I think this year, the standout for... So this year, I actually don't think it's that scary of a year. I think you decided for your first year to be this year. I think you decided really well. Because this year, there's not a whole lot of, like, scariness. There's a few spots here and there, but this year it really focuses more on like well-themed houses. I feel like than actual like we're going to scare the crap out of you type of stuff. But really, the standout this year is just the makeup and the costumes.
Oh yeah,
there's so many beautiful costumes, and the makeup artists are really crushing it this year. It's so
it was
good.
incredible.
Yeah. And I think a great example of that is the Universal Monsters house. Just being able to see all the different creatures come to life.
Yeah.
Like that's not an easy task.
No.
Like the Universal monster movies when they came out won Oscars, like every single one, for the special effects and visual effects and makeup department and costuming department. Every single one of them, because they were that revolutionary and pushed the boundaries that much.
Yeah.
So the fact that they're having to, dress that many scare actors, and, they basically look like the screen character, if not better.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
That house is really impressive
Yeah.
just for that alone.
Yeah.
And the scare actors do a pretty good job in that house,
They do.
too.
Yeah. I think that was a good first house.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't even know what to expect. Like, I mean, when we were getting closer, I was like, I'm nervous. Like, I don't know what's happening. But it was really cool.
Yeah, and you started off classic.
Yes.
The right way. Classic Universal Monsters.
Yes.
You can't get better than that. Yeah, I was excited that was your first house.
Yeah, I was too.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And then next we hit up Graveyard Games. I actually think that it's a fun house. I mean, it's not a fun house. It's it's a haunted house, but it's a fun house. You know?
Fun haunted house.
But yeah, so I think that's a really good typical HHN house. It hits all the beats, it hits all the notes. There's some really good scares in it. Like there's some really interestingly placed scares, and this year it seems like they're really trying hard to come up with like new innovative scares where it's like there's a solid wall and then like the lights turn on and you can see the scare actor behind it or something.
Yeah.
Like some cool new types of scares that we don't see too often. And there's a few in that house, but overall I think that's a really good like typical HHN house. But yeah, where out of the 5, where would you put Universal Monsters, because I didn't ask you that for that house. But also, where would you put Graveyard Games?
In the order? Out of the 5?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Probably put it in the middle.
Yeah.
For probably 3rd.
Graveyard?
Yeah.
And what about Monsters?
Oh, man, this is hard, though, because I don't want to put any of them last, because they're all really good.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Hard.
That's the thing. There's no... Well, so I think there's one house that I'm, like, not that huge of a fan of. But other than that one house, like, there's not a... And I wouldn't even say it's bad. It's just not great. But there's no bad house this year.
No.
And other than that one house, all the houses are at least good. I mean, there's some houses that are just absolutely amazing. So putting a house in last place isn't like, oh, it's a bad house, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's still a good house.
Yeah.
It's still worth doing.
Yeah.
So I get that. That was my issue when I did the HHN preview podcast. It was so hard ranking the houses because even though I don't know, like even though it's in last, I'm still excited for it. Yeah.
I don't know. I'd probably put it 4th.
The Monsters house? Yeah.
Or no, the Graveyard one 4th.
Okay.
Monsters probably 3rd.
3rd?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I know your top 2. I mean, the top 2, everyone probably has the same top 2.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so then what would you put in number 5? Let's talk about that house next.
Probably Killer Clowns.
Oh, yeah?
Which I liked Killer Clowns a lot, too. So that's why I hate putting it 5th.
Yeah, no, I think I would second you on that. Again, really good house. I have a few friends in that house. I actually have a few friends in pretty much every house this year. So I'm just going to stop saying that now. Every house I have a few good friends in. But, yeah, no, that house, again, it's just the costuming.
Yeah.
Like, this year, the costuming and the makeup is so on point.
Oh, yeah.
It's so good. It's so impressive. But what are your thoughts about the Killer Clowns house?
I liked it. I don't know. It was fun. I can see if somebody's terrified of clowns, though, that would be like their worst nightmare.
Yeah. I just think, like the killer clowns themselves, like the costumes, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
But they're so big that they're not very scary. It's like,
I didn't get scared once in that house, I don't think.
Yeah, but every time you see one of them, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was amazing. Like the costumes and everything. I love the house.
Yeah. That house has some really good interactive features.
Yeah.
Like there's buttons everywhere. And some of the buttons, if you press it, like a few different things will happen. Like it'll hit you with air, or it'll like shoot you with a little bit of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
you told me to press that one button and then it hit you with water.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, whoops.
Yeah. You hit the button and I got sprayed. Yeah. I don't know how that happened. I was upset. There's one that's like you hit it and like a loud horn goes off and you're like, oh my gosh. But I love interactive features in HHN houses like that. They have at least one house like that every single year. I think there's a few this year. I know there's some interactive features in one other house that I know of specifically, but I forget which house that is. This year, HHN actually does a lot of interactive stuff through the app opposed to inside the houses, I know. So, like, Graveyard Games has a lot of interactive stuff in terms of the storytelling that you can do through the app and through like Facebook Messenger. You can like actually talk to some of the like characters in the house. Which is interesting. It's cool. I messed around with it a little bit, but not too much. Like we tried the trivia stuff a little bit. But we didn't really try any of the story elements. Because one of the story element things you had to unlock with the souvenir cup. So I got the souvenir cup and it didn't have a code on it and I was upset. I was upset.
It was a sad moment.
But we'll try it eventually. And then we'll tune back in and we'll tell you what we think of all that stuff. It's basically like the Disney Play app, but for it's literally called the Universal Play app, but it's within the normal Universal app. It's not a secondary app. But anyways, back to Killer Clowns. I actually really enjoyed that house as well. I don't know why, but that house seems to have one of the lower wait times this
It did,
run.
yeah. It wasn't bad at all. It's like, what, 20 minutes or something?
Yeah.
That's all we really waited.
And it was like that for the next night, too.
Yeah.
I mean, it got up there, It was 45 minutes, 50, 60 minutes a lot of the time, but every house was like that. But Killer Clowns was usually the first one to drop. So, like, when all the other houses went down to, like, 35, Killer Clowns was, like, the first one to drop, and it, like, dropped to 20.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I actually got to go through Us last night.
Oh, really?
With only 30 minutes.
Oh.
Which was crazy, because that one is right next to Stranger Things in the park. So because everyone goes to Stranger Things and they're like 135 minutes, no.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh well, Us is right here, might as well.
Yeah.
Or oh, Yeti's right here, might as well. So like Yeti was at 80 minutes all night, and Us was at like 80 minutes all night. But at one point it dropped down to 30, so we're like sprinting to Us, like we gotta get there.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So we didn't wait too long for that one. But yeah. I think Killer Clowns, and I said this in the vlog, I think Killer Clowns is the best house that has been in the Shrek building in a long time. I think that building is so hard to put a house in because, it operates as a ride, well, like a show thing. It operates as an attraction at the park throughout the year and throughout the day even. So when they shut half the ride down, because there's like 2 show buildings or whatever, when they shut half of it down for HHN, like they try to shut it down later, like as late as possible, so they don't cut down, the like capacity of the ride. So usually that house is like super rushed, and you can kind of tell. Like last year it was Halloween 4, and the year before that it was Saw. And both those houses were good, but just the level of theming wasn't like on par with a lot of the other houses, and you could tell. But this year, the theming is on point, the scare actors are on point, the costumes are fantastic, and it's just it's a fun house. It is a really fun house to walk through. That's one that it's like I could go through 10 times and enjoy it every time, and I'll walk out with a smile on my face.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's so fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's one of the best houses that's been in that building for a long time. So your number 2,
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things, of course. You're a huge fan of the show, right?
I love Stranger Things.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a fan of season 1 and season 3. I was actually kind of meh on season 2.
I still loved season 2.
Yeah. But this year, Stranger Things is based off of season 2 and season 3.
Yes.
Which was your favorite section of the house?
Oh man, I don't know. I can't pick one. I don't know. I loved it where Elle is like, pushing away the demi-dog, and
Yeah.
that was super cool.
Yeah, that's like
and
the first room in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like being in it is just super cool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's weird. Like, I had super high expectations for it, and then Ghostbusters, I think, beat it. I mean, they really.
Yeah, like.
They beat it for me.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of like, I don't want to say nervous, but my expectations weren't as high for Ghostbusters, and I know we're talking about Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But my expectations weren't as high as everyone else's for Ghostbusters, just because Ghostbusters isn't necessarily like a scary horror movie. It's ghosts, so like innately it is horror genre, I guess, but it's not really scary.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of comedy in it, so I wasn't really too sure how they were going to like do that for HHN, but the way they did it blew my expectations out of the water. And for the people who had high expectations set already, I think it blew their expectations out of the water too.
Yeah.
So I think that's the standout house of the year, which actually isn't really a surprise to me because Stranger Things, bringing it back to Stranger Things, I actually really enjoy the Stranger Things house. I don't know if it's number 2 or number 3 for me, but it's definitely up there just because it's the same thing as last year. The theming is so on point.
Yeah.
And if you are a Stranger Things fan, which, I mean, I would say I'm a Stranger Things fan, like when they drop season 4, I'm definitely watching it the week, if not the day that it comes out.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge, crazy, obsessed fan, but I enjoy it more than just casually.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do really enjoy it. So I don't know where I would put that in my list. I think its strong suit is that for those people that are huge fans, it really is immersive.
Oh, for sure.
And they do a great job.
Yeah.
And there's even one scene at the very end of the house that it's like, wow, they built that.
Yeah.
There's some stuff. Well, there's even a scene halfway through the house to end the season 2 section where you're like, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So for that, it really impressed me. If you saw the vlog that I put up, for the preview, I actually got to do that house at the very end of the night, and there was no one in front of me and no one behind me, which was absolutely amazing and ridiculous that even happened in Stranger Things, because Stranger Things is the most popular house this year, evident of the wait time.
Yeah.
So I was absolutely shocked that I got to do that. And when I came out of the house, I said, I tried to say as many nice things as I could about it. I really respected the scare actors that, did put in the extra effort. It was the last shift of the night. They probably only had 5 more minutes on set. And they're tired. They're exhausted. I get it. I've been a scare actor. I've been there. I've done it. So I get that it's the last set of the night. I'm tired. I want to go home. But for the scare actors that actually put effort into oh man, okay, there's someone coming. I'm going to do my thing. Bam, nailed it. That's awesome. And I respect that. And I really, from a HHN fan, thank you. I really appreciated that. But there was probably man, it wasn't even half. It was probably more than half of the house that when I walked through, they just looked at me.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Yeah, they didn't do their scare.
Yeah.
They just stood there and was like, really? You're coming through my house
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
And just like on a personal level, like I get that you're like it's exhausting, it's tired, or it's tiring. Like again, I've been there, I've done it, I know, but like I don't know, you're a scare actor, you're paid to scare. You're not like you're getting paid the same amount at the end of the night as you're getting paid at the beginning of the night. Like you don't have any more or less reason to scare or not scare at the end, and it was just kind of really upsetting. And this wasn't just Stranger Things, so I'm not bashing just Stranger Things. I noticed it a lot through the park this year, that it was just like, scare actors in the street would walk right by, and it wasn't that they were just like scaring other people, because I would see them from a distance just walking past everyone, and it like. The vast, and this is like I don't want to say the vast majority, but there's at least half of the scare actors there in all of HHN and pretty much all of the houses and all of the streets that just seemed like they and I'm really trying not to say anything bad, but like in the preview night, I was just assuming, okay, maybe they're saving their energy, because stage direction, like show direction, actually does tell you up front, hey, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Like conserve your energy.
Yeah.
Don't throw it all out there the first night and then be exhausted for the next 7 weeks of the event.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I get that. And I thought that's probably what they were doing during the preview night. But after going the opening night and the night after that, so 3 times in a row, and it was like the same experience every night.
Yeah.
Where it was like, man, half of the scare actors were just crushing it, doing such a good job. And to them, like, I really say thank you. I applaud you guys. Like, your hard work and effort does not go unnoticed. Like, it really means a lot from an HHN fan when I see people, like, actually into it. And, man, like, I love that. But the other half was just, like, it looked like in their mind they were like, I have 5 other places that I could be. Like, I could be doing something better with my life.
I noticed that too.
And it's I don't know. Like, I'm not going to go on. Like, I could go on for so much, like, just I don't know. I'm not going to harp on it. But the reason why we brought that up is because we were talking about Stranger Things, and that was just something that I noticed in Stranger Things. Was pretty much like every time I went through, half the scare actors were just destroying it, like in a really good way. Like they were crushing it. And then the other half were just like, I guess, yeah, manager's walking through, so I'll scare, sure. Yeah. And I don't know. That's just kind of disappointing. But overall, I still really enjoyed that house. I just think... So I said it in the vlog again. Like, I keep on referring back to this vlog. You guys really should watch it. That's where a lot of my first impressions are coming from, is that vlog. But it seems like this year... Well, so last year, the Stranger Things house, the criticism for it was, it's absolutely gorgeous. It looks fantastic. It is one of the most beautiful and well-themed houses that Halloween Horror Nights has ever made. And that's true, it was. Yeah. But the criticism was, it's not very scary. It felt more of like a walkthrough, like you're in Stranger Things, opposed to you're in a Halloween Horror Nights house.
Yeah.
And it seemed like this year they tried to really balance the two.
Yeah.
So there's areas of the house that aren't quite as well themed as last year, but there's a lot more scares in it, which is really awesome. Unless those scare actors aren't scaring, you know? Which is why I was bringing that up, to say it seems like this year the HHN creatives really tried to make Stranger Things a lot more scary than it was last year. And in some areas, I think it really works.
Yeah. And I noticed even, like, with trying to scare you, it's not even like a scary character. It's like all of a sudden Hopper just kind of is like around the corner, like, and he's just like right there.
Screaming in the walkie-talkie or something, or he has a gun. He's like, bah, 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 bah.
Yeah. So it's not even like a terrifying character. It's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, there's someone right there.
Yeah. But I mean, as a HHN fan, I actually really like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah, I think it's really much needed for Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Because the show inherently isn't all that scary.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some moments here and there, but it's not really that scary. It just kind of has that horror theme to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like I just talked all the way through that. But overall, yeah, I really like that house too. And so your number one, of course,
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. So I know you said you've seen the movie. Like, are you a huge Ghostbusters fan, or like you've just seen the movies, or?
I've seen the movie once.
Okay.
So
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I've seen the movie a handful of times. Like, I loved it when I was a kid. But I haven't seen it a whole lot since. I think I watched it maybe a year or two ago, and that was the last time I seen it. So it's been a while. But going through that house was just so much nostalgia.
Yeah.
Like, I love that house.
yeah, that was definitely my favorite. I don't know. I didn't really think too much about it at first. I'm like, oh, it'll probably be cool. And then afterwards, I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
nope, this one got me.
Yeah.
This one's amazing.
Yes. That's the house that, like, it's like, man, this is why I love Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah.
It's not a scary house.
No.
You know, it's Ghostbusters. It's not going to be scary. But it's so well themed, and there's so much charm and character to that house, and the scare actors really like embrace that. You know, the scare actors feel like they're the characters from the movie, which is amazing. So there's just, and I was told by a few people that I know that are in that house or that are working on that house, that when you see some of the visual effects in this house, your jaw is going to drop, and yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
I remember
very
the
true.
first time I went through that house, I was like, wait, they did that in a Halloween Horror Nights house? Like, they did those effects in a temporary, like, house that's going to last 2 months. No way. You know, like, so throughout the house, to get the ghost effects, they used the Pepper's ghost effect, which is made famous in a lot of older attractions, like Haunted Mansion. That's what they use in the dining room ball scene.
Yeah.
To get like the ghost effects and everything. So rides like the Haunted Mansion made that effect like famous, and then Universal and a few other theme parks really perfected that and made it more realistic and believable with the immersion effect, which was in, you know, rides like Disaster, which is no more, but they have it in Fast and Furious, bless its heart, and they also have it in Hagrid's. They have it in Gringotts. They have it in a lot of their rides. It's like the pre-show element.
Yeah.
And they do that effect in Ghostbusters, and they don't do it just once. They do it 2 or 3 times actually.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So there's one in like the very first scene. There's one in like the second scene. There's one with Slimer, and then there's a few other ones in there too.
Yeah.
But like, you see those effects and you're like, wow, they did that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then even like the room where they're like actually shooting the proton packs. I almost forgot the name for a second, but when they're actually shooting the proton packs, it looks so cool.
It does,
and like
yeah.
Slimer's up there and everything. It was really well done.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't want to ruin the ending set pieces, but the ending, it's literally straight from the movie. They took it from the movie, like the big screen, and put it into reality and let you walk through it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It is.
So good.
I can't wait to do that one again.
Yeah.
That's on my must-do list.
Yeah, that's on my list for I have to hit that house every single time. If the wait time is an hour, that's fine. I'm going to save it for the last one.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to do that house every single time I go. It's so good.
Yes.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just like with the Ghostbusters music playing in there too, it's just so much nostalgia. You can't help but smile walking out of that house.
It was incredible.
Yeah. I remember team member preview night, walking out of that house, me and like 15, 20 other people walking in that house were like clapping and cheering. Like, the house was that good. It deserved applause at the end.
Yeah.
So good. Um, but yeah, other houses. I've been through Us twice now. We didn't get to go through that one. That one's actually. Uh, I don't know yet where I'm going to put that, but it's in my top 5 for sure. Um, that house to me just felt like it needed more scare actors in it. Um, I went during team preview night, and I felt like, I don't know, maybe since it's the preview night, maybe it's not fully staffed or something. And then when we went, your friend told us, like, no, you have to go through it again.
Yeah.
Because fully staffed, it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, cool. So I went through the house again last night, and yeah, I kind of felt the same way. There were a few more scare actors here and there. Like, it definitely felt more full for sure. Mm-hmm. But overall, I felt like it just needed a little bit more life into the house. But the house, again, is a very beautiful house. And if you've seen the movie, if you're a fan of the movie, there's a lot of houses in HHN that they kind of like jumble up the storyline a little bit. Killer Clowns is like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit the storyline of the movie, note for note. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a few scenes that are at the end of the movie are at the front of the house, and a few scenes that are at the beginning of the movie are like towards the end of the house. Mm-hmm. So it gets kind of jumbled up a little bit. It's still like Killer Clowns is still a great house, but Us is literally beat for beat for beat the movie. And if you've seen the movie, it like follows it perfectly. It's such a good house. It's just there's a few parts where it's like you're walking through a big wide open space with 0 scare actors in it. And it just, for that reason, it felt kind of weird. It felt more of like a Us museum that you're walking through opposed to like a Halloween Horror Nights. There's one scene, it's the very last scene of the house, which is fantastic. They actually have like 4 or 5 scare actors in that scene. But there, it's just like you're walking through a few rooms, and it's like, I feel like there should be 3 scare actors in here, and there's literally no one. But yeah, I would still say that one's probably top 5 for me. I went through Yeti once. Mm-hmm. We did not get to go through that one. Again, for like in-depth thoughts on these houses, because I'm just going to fly through these next few since Trisha wasn't able to go through these with me. So I'm just going to fly through them real quick. But if you want in-depth thoughts and reviews on this house, on these houses, just watch my vlog, because I give a review and first opinions and all that right when I get out of the house. But Yeti really impressed me. It was one of my least anticipated houses, just because I didn't know if they were going to go campy or if they were going to go horror with it. Yeti has some really impressive scares in that house. That's one of the few houses that I walked out of being like, that's a Halloween Horror Nights house. Like in terms of the scariness. Like I said, all the houses are really good this year, but that one specifically, I was impressed at some of the scares. They were unique, and there were a few that I just didn't see coming. And it was also just very well themed. Like, the costumes were fantastic. The house, you walk in, and it's like instantly you're like, oh man, it's cold in here. And the wind's blowing, and there's like snow and everything. It's really well done. And then, so House of 1,000 Corpses, I did that one once. I'll say what I said in the vlog. The very beginning of that house, like the first half. So I'm not a huge fan of the movie. So I wasn't really expecting much for that house. I wasn't a huge fan of the first half of the house, but the second half of the house was really impressive. Like, if you've seen the movie, the part where you go underground, I'm not going to spoil it, the house for you guys, but when you finally go underground, that section of the house was such a standout. The scare actors did a really good job with that. The theming's on point. I don't know. Since I'm not a huge fan of the movie, the first half of that house, I was just kind of on. If you're a fan of House of 1,000 Corpses, you're going to love this house, because it's another one of those houses that hits pretty much every story beat of the movie. So if you're a fan of the movie, you're going to like the house a lot. Then there was Nightingale's Blood Pit. Again, this was a house that was towards the bottom of my list for the predictions, and I walked out of it really impressed. Definitely not the strongest house of the year by far. It's it's in my bottom 5, but again, still a really good house. Like the bottom 5, like the bottom 5 houses are still really good houses. They're just, you have to put some house in last or in the last 5. The costumes were on point. If you like really sexy men that are shirtless, this is your house, I guess. There's a lot of them, but there's some unique scares in this house too. I feel like a lot of the original houses that are kind of like, I don't know, that sounds kind of weird. Like those houses, I feel like they put a lot of effort into making unique scares for them. So like even if the theme isn't necessarily your favorite, like Gladiator theme isn't necessarily my cup of tea, but they have some really good scares, like that I didn't see coming. And when they came, I was like, oh wow, that was really cool. So I was impressed with that one for that reason. And the theming was actually pretty on point too. Then right next to that one is Depths of Fear. This is my house that I believe at the end of the run is going to be solid in last place. It's not a bad house. It's just not a great house. And I feel like this year, the lineup for HHN is so strong that you have to be great, if not absolutely amazing, to be able to make it, in the top 5.
Yeah.
It's not a bad house. It's a good house.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's in last place. I don't know. And I think the reason for that is there's not a whole lot of scares in it. It's the same issue as Killer Clowns in terms of scares. The costumes are just so big and bulky that when they pop out, it's not scary. You can pretty much see them before they come out. But yeah, I think I was just shocked by the, when they say underwater theme, I was expecting a completely different type of underwater theme than what I actually got. I would say it's more of like an alien theme. Like it felt like if you took Alien the movie and put it underwater, but you wouldn't really know that it was underwater because you're inside of like a spaceship looking thing. Like that's literally what Depths of Fear is. And it's like there's aliens everywhere, like underwater creature alien things, and you're in like tubing, and it's kind of strange. Still a good house. It's not a house that like if I walk by it, I'm not going to say no, I don't want to do it. But it's a house that I'm not going to wait 45 minutes for that house. I'll wait 10, 15 minutes for that house. It's still a good house, but probably my least favorite. Sorry that I'm just flying through all these, but actually I think that's the last one. I think we covered
Yeah,
the
I think
other
that
ones.
was all 10.
Yeah, all 10. But I'm sorry I flew through those last few. It's just I know that since Trisha didn't get to do those houses, you probably didn't have a whole lot of input. Out of the 5 houses, though, that you haven't done, which ones are you, like, top 3 that you're most excited for out of the 5?
I've never seen Us, but I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like maybe I should see the movie before I do it, though.
You totally should.
I'll be confused otherwise.
Well, I don't think if you haven't seen the movie, I don't think it's going to ruin the house. I think it's still a good house if you haven't seen the movie. I just think if you've seen the movie, you're going to understand what's going on a little bit more. But the costumes are just so good.
Nice.
And when there's a few rooms in the house that you get like a really good look at the costumes and the scare actors that are wearing the costumes. And in those few scenes that you really get that close, like, look at it, it's really creepy. And I like it. So those are the standout moments of that house.
Yeah. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I think you should be excited for that one. It's a good one. What are your other 2 most anticipated houses?
Yeah, I'm really excited for Yeti. That's another one that I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. That one. So I went through that house. I think it was team member preview. When it happened. Yeah. Okay, so it was team member preview because I've only been through it once. And I had a friend that messaged me like, "Yo, I'm in Yeti. Like, come through. Like, get my picture or something." I was like, "Okay, I'll be there." So he sent me his set times, and I went through his first set. And he didn't tell me which Yeti he was.
No.
It was just like, "Hey, I'm a Yeti." Like, okay, well, you're in a house called Yeti.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
So I go walking through, and it was like towards the end of the house. It was like right after a scare that was like really good. Like I didn't see it coming, so I was kind of like already distracted. I was like, "Oh, dang, that was really good."
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was like massive Yeti like grabs me. Oh no! Like screaming. So if you're listening to this, like good scare. But yeah, that was a fun one. I'm terrified to go through that one again because I don't want to know what he's going to do to me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just get a like fist bump a Yeti, and everyone around me is going to be like, "That guy's so cool. He fist bumped a Yeti." I'll be like, "That's right, I did."
Or you'll be tackled again.
Or I'll be tackled and dragged
Yeah.
into the back of the house again. Man, good times. Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I'm excited to do that one again. I think that's my number one, like, most like anticipated for like going through it again.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah. And so you have us as number one for your next one. Yeti as number two. What's your third?
I think the Thousand Corpses one.
Okay.
I'm excited to see that too.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie?
No.
No. Okay.
But it sounds really cool.
Yeah.
I have to catch up on a lot of movies.
Yeah. It's definitely a Rob Zombie flavored house. Like, I mean, he directed the movie. But he has a very unique, I guess, artistic viewpoint. He just has, his movies are, to me anyways, are very strange. And I know that's the reason why they're cult classics.
Yeah.
Is because of the strangeness of the movies.
Yeah.
So, but the house is kind of the same way.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to go through that one again too, just because I want to give that one another shot.
Yeah.
Because the second half of that house actually is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to do all of them. I'm just excited to have all 10. It's like
Yeah. So we didn't catch all of. So there's one other show that they have. We did catch all of Academy of Villains, but they also have the Marathon of Mayhem, which is a water show that they put on in the lake, in the lagoon. And we didn't get to catch all of it.
Yeah.
But we did catch maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little less, 5 minutes of it.
Yeah, I heard the Stranger Things music, and I'm like,
We're
ooh,
we
what's
have
this?
to stop. Yeah. I'm excited to see it from top to bottom.
Yeah, I am too.
We caught literally the last 5-10 minutes of the show. It's about a 15-minute show because I asked a few of the team members about the show, and they said it's about 15 minutes long. So we caught a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you think of what we saw?
I thought it was super cool. The projection on the water, I don't know if it was the angle we were at.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Because we were kind of on the side. So.
Yeah, it was just kind of hard to see.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to see what was happening on that.
Yeah. Man, that water projection is so beautiful at night, though.
Yeah, it is.
With the lighting and everything.
Yeah.
It's a gorgeous show.
Yeah.
I actually don't know why they haven't done a show like this sooner. Because it doesn't take, scare actors to run.
Yeah. No.
It's literally just it takes a tech guy to hit play and make sure that nothing goes wrong. So I'm kind of surprised that they haven't done something like this sooner. But it was really, it's a good addition to Halloween Horror Nights.
Oh, for sure.
It makes it feel like more of a rounded event.
Yeah.
I actually really did like the projection mapping onto the buildings behind.
The buildings are cool, yeah.
There's a really good moment where, so in Killer Clowns, the movie, one of the clowns does shadow puppets, and the shadow puppets kill people and stuff. and there was a projection on the water of the killer clown doing like the shadow puppet, and then they projection mapped the actual shadow puppet onto the building behind it, and it was like really clever how they did that, and it was really cool. So there's a lot of fun special effects in that show. There's no fireworks though. The normal nighttime show that's really similar to this one, but it's just like normal Universal themed stuff. It has some firework effects. This one doesn't have any. I'm assuming that's just because it plays multiple times during the night. So I'm sure that's probably why.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I'm excited to see this event, kind of evolve. Like every year, it usually takes a week or two for the scare actors to really get their stride and run with it and like fall in love with the properties that they're portraying. So I'm really excited to check out the event. I mean, I'll be there literally every single week, but I'm excited to see it in like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. I am too.
Yeah, I think everything will be like a well-oiled machine by then.
Yeah.
It's just the event always has growing pains like the first week. So any of the negativity that I had, I'm not holding it against the event this year. Because every single year there's always issues that come up. So I'm excited to see how it turns out over the next, few weeks. But yeah, I just wanted to really get your opinions on, the event from someone who hasn't been before.
Yeah.
Because I really do think that this is a great year to go if you haven't been.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I loved it. I mean, I'm hooked. I see why you love it so much now. And I'm already excited to go back. It was like when we left, I'm like, oh man, because I was sad. I was like, it went too fast.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go back already.
But it's a good thing you have the pass.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I was thinking about just getting the one-day ticket because like I said, I didn't think I was going to like it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to get the frequent fear pass. And I'm glad I did because I'm already excited to go back.
Yeah, I'm excited to go back too. Yeah, I just think, part of the charm of HHN is that it feels like it takes these properties that you love, and even the original houses that aren't intellectual properties, even those houses, they take stories that you love, or just stories that they created, and they let you exist in them.
Yeah.
And it's so immersive and so well done, and it's not all that scary a lot of the times. I think this year's probably one of the least scary years I've been to. But that actually doesn't really take away from the event. Like, the event is so good this year that the fact that it's not as scary, in my opinion, doesn't really subtract too much from it. But yeah, I think this year, if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't been before, but all your friends are like trying to get you to go or whatever,
do it.
Yeah. Honestly, just try it. It's not that bad, and it's not like the entire park is horror. You can still ride the rides.
Yeah.
So if you just want to go to Universal and you don't want to pay $100 to go, you can get a single night ticket for $60, or you can get a frequent fear pass for like $100.
Yeah.
And you can go and you can ride almost every single ride. Not every ride, but like the main rides are open. So like Mummy, Rip Ride Rocket, Men in Black is open, Fast and Furious is open. I don't know why you would ride that ride, but it's open.
Tell us how you really feel about that ride.
They should just start over. That's what they should do with that ride. But yeah, no. So it's a great event. So I really do urge you, if you haven't been, this is the year to go. You have to try it this year. Don't be too afraid. Go with some friends that you enjoy spending time with, because the lines are kind of long.
Yeah.
But don't be too afraid to go. You should really try it this year. It's a really good year for your first time for HHN. But yeah, so we're going to be going to HHN a lot, obviously, since you got the pass.
Yeah.
And you guys should follow us on our YouTube channel, because we're going to be doing a lot of content for HHN this year. We already put up a first look of the event. So if you kind of want to get a feel for it, seriously, go watch that vlog. I know I've talked about it so much in this podcast episode already. But seriously, like, go watch that episode and, you know, get a feel for it. But the next one we're going to do, the HHN has just so much good food. So much good food and drinks and pizza fries. Oh my gosh, pizza fries and twisted taters. Oh my gosh. And then the alcohol, just wow. Oh my goodness. But we're going to be going there, and at least I, because you vegan over here. Just no shame. I just you can't have pizza fries. That's all I'm saying.
Sadly. Hey, yeah. Not by choice. I will just
well,
die
no, it
if
is
I
by
eat
choice because there's pepperoni.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, the cheese is not by choice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but so I'm at least going to try the pizza fries.
I will watch you try the pizza fries.
Yeah, and then we'll probably try twisted tater. Spoiler: I've actually tried 2. They have 4 mixed drinks this year. Like specialty mixed drinks. I've already tried 2. They're pretty good. But we're going to be doing a video, and we'll try some of those, and it'll be like a whole vlog just, you know, exploring the other side of HHN. So we already did one for the houses and the scare zones and you know, Academy of Villains. We're going to be doing a video really soon that kind of explores the other side of things. So just like the overall like atmosphere, if you just want to go and enjoy the park and the atmosphere, if you want to enjoy the food, the delicious food that they have, and the wonderful drinks that they have. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Of course, I'll link it in like the show notes and description and all that. But yeah, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because you don't want to miss any of that content. Trust me.
Yeah, and we're now on Facebook and Instagram.
This is very true. We are on both of those, and that is one of the best places to follow us if you want to keep up with everything that we're doing, because between the podcast episodes and the YouTube stuff and any of the posts that we add to Instagram, they also get shared to Facebook, and that's just like the best place to keep up with all the stuff that we're doing. So we'll link the Instagram and Facebook down below as well. But yeah, that's going to be it for episode 7 of Theme Park Center. That is our HHN kind of round table, even though we're sitting at a square table. But that's our first initial thoughts. Of course, we'll probably be talking a lot about HHN over the next 2 months.
Okay.
Because it goes on until November 2nd, I believe, this year. So we got some time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where can people follow you, Trisha?
So I work with Disney Dining, so do a lot of live streaming on there, so you can find me on there.
Cool, and I'll link that down below for sure. So check out Trisha's work on Disney Dining. She also does a lot of work with Disney Dining affiliate sites, but you can find everything at Disney Dining.
Yes.
So follow her there. Like, make sure you check out that site. It's really cool. Not sponsored, by the way. But hey, if you want to sponsor us, like, you know, just put a good word in. Okay?
Yeah.
For sure. But you can also find me. My name is Jonathan Holt. You can find me on Instagram, which is the best place to find me. I'm always on there. At John Holt 96. Again, that'll be in the show notes and the description. You can also find me on YouTube. I do like filmmaking stuff, so if you're into filmmaking or photography, and you not photography, like you're not like taking pictures of animals like fur, but like, I mean, I guess you could. Like you could learn a lot from, but it's not photography. I do a lot of photography. I like take pictures of noodles and stuff. Not really, but jeez, rabbit trail. I'm just going to end this thing out. Follow me on YouTube, just Jonathan Holt. You search for me, it'll probably pop up. I hope so, at least. Anyways, that will be it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yes.
All right, peace.
Bye.